Ain't it a great day? Ain't it a great day? Ain't it a great day? Ain't it a great day?
Hello everyone, my name is Dean. Let's talk crypto. This is where you subscribe for daily Bitcoin updates and technical analysis. We track the price of Bitcoin as a proxy for the cryptocurrency markets at large. Today is June 27th, 2025. And although Bitcoin's been consolidating for a couple of days, and it's still following our trade thesis, it's at resistance, it may be that some altcoins do get started this weekend. And we're going to look at why that may be. If that all sounds interesting to you, then watch until the very end. Obviously, what I'm talking about is get started moving up impulsively in their alt season push. But first, as always, let's look at Bitcoin. All right, let's start with the 4-hourly time frame as per usual. And as we said last time, Bitcoin's in this channel that it's been in for 30 plus days. And as of now, we are at the top resistance of the channel. So we don't expect much of anything at this level until a move down happens, okay? So the more likely than not next big move for Bitcoin is going to be down. It's either going to be here, we said, or all the way down to the bottom of the channel. But as we said in the previous episode, the more likely than not next move, right, strategically and just on the balance of probability, is going to be to the midline right here. So we're more likely than not expecting a move down to the midline over here. But on a smaller time frame, so let's go down to the hourly time frame. Look at what's happening with Bitcoin and what's been happening since we last spoke, actually. So you can see here you have a 2-day and 7-hour consolidation. This is very likely to break up, okay? Although I just said that the next big move is down, I do expect a small move up only because you've been consolidating down into the right for 2 days and 7 hours. It's unlikely that this breaks down. Very unlikely. Typically, when you bull flag like that, you consolidate down into the right, you break that consolidation, and you do so in a strong move that typically the height of the consolidation. So I'm expecting Bitcoin to, approach 109.6 thereabouts as a result of this 2-day, 7-hour consolidation. And that still follows our trade thesis, because if we zoom back out, we can see that that's still just wicking above our current resistance here, right? It's just a small move up. Nothing really changes structurally on a higher time frame. But I do think on the small time frame, we can expect in the immediate short term a small move up by Bitcoin, and then during the weekend that larger correction down to this midline. So that's what I'm seeing for Bitcoin. Small move up, larger move down, then consolidation for an even larger move up. Now, this episode, I want to focus really on the front runners. I call the front runners those altcoins that are going to run first. And this is common. This is typical. Very seldom in any market do you ever see everything moving in unison at once all together. It doesn't happen like that. You typically have certain assets that follow the trend and they front run the trend. They do it first, and then others follow. And based off of what I'm seeing on the usual indicators that we follow on this channel, the total 3 and the Bitcoin dominance, I feel very strongly that we're going to get a front run by certain assets. Because and to explain this, we're going to have to look at a couple examples. So I'm probably going to have to look at Cardano, and let's do Chainlink. Okay, let's look at these two. First, let's look at the total 3. So the total 3 is what we use as an amalgam, an aggregate representation of altcoins in the cryptocurrency space. Obviously, the total 3 is every altcoin minus Ethereum. And it's helpful. It's helpful. Basically, it tells us that ever since we bottomed over here, that retest, that liquidity grab on this bull flag, this teal bull flag, we came up and we retraced. We came up breaking the previous downtrend, and we retraced, retesting that downtrend as support, and then continued. Okay, so what I'm seeing is a continuation here that doesn't necessarily, how can I say this? Let me jump down in the small time frame for a second. Let me just check something for a second. I just want to make sure of what I'm about to say. Yeah. Okay. So, what we see here doesn't satisfy our 3 pairs of AB basing. It doesn't satisfy it, only because if you pull your Fibonacci retracement tool from the bottom here all the way to the top, right, and this is more likely than not the orthodox high, even if you were to stretch it and say this is the orthodox high, I've done this, you're still not reaching the minimum retracement of 0.5. You could make an argument. I don't like it. I feel like it's a stretch. You could make an argument that your orthodox low is actually over here, and then you can say the orthodox high is over here, and then you just about hit the 0.5. It's possible. It's possible. In which case, you can count like this, okay? 1, 2, right? You're satisfying that minimum retracement of a zigzag, which is the 0.5 Fibonacci retracement, and then 3. So you have 2 degrees of AB basing, a zigzag, and a flat correction, which is typically the sequence of corrections that you see in a reversal. All that to say, on a higher time frame, if you look, you're essentially just making a really nice let's try that again. You're essentially making a nice and pretty inverse head and shoulders. Okay? So that's a possibility. That's a very strong possibility. Even in the aggregate, meaning that most altcoins, once they move here and then they retest this, it's game on. And then you just start printing. You just start pumping. You're in a different phase. You're in a different mode of price action. We're so used to this corrective mode. You'll see that everything changes. It's a different mode altogether. We haven't felt it. It's not even about beating Bitcoin. Beating Bitcoin, which we will see in a second in the Bitcoin dominance chart, that's just a byproduct of altcoins being in this mode of price action that we haven't seen in years. It's what we call the impulsive mode, where you continually print 5 waves up, 3 waves down, 5 waves up, 3 waves down, 5 waves up, 3 waves down, and then you retrace and then you continually do that for months on end. So that, if what I just said is accurate in so far as we're satisfying 2 degrees of AB basing or 3 pairs of corrective patterns here, we may be able to see that this weekend already, right? Meanwhile, Bitcoin's doing whatever it's doing, but it's not in that mode. And it'll be very clear. So what I'm trying to say here is this. If I'm right, it'll be crystal clear. You'll just see upwards, 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 retracement, upwards, 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 retracement, upwards, 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 retracement. And typically what happens in the disbelief rally, the first rally in Altseason, is people are like, oh, there's no way it can keep going like this. It's gone already so much. It has to retrace much more. That's an insufficient retracement. Maybe they're not calculating it, or they don't know the technicals of what a minimal retracement is, and in an impulsive wave. People disbelieve the strength, the verve of this price action. Like I said, if this is actually happening this weekend, there will be no doubt. Everybody will know. It'll just be head scratching to people that are in disbelief, because they're going to be like, wait, that doesn't make sense because Bitcoin's not doing that. This is what I'm trying to say. I like the fact that here you can see the makings of a very nice high time frame reversal. Again, this is a total 3. It's not going to be every single last altcoin that does this. So again, we're going to look at 2 examples real quick. But before we have a look at Cardano and Chainlink, 2 altcoins that are prepped for Altseason, that are on support, that are likely to make systematic gains in the Altseason. I want to look at Bitcoin dominance. And this is another reason why I'm saying what I'm saying. Look at this. So we're on the hourly time frame. We're going to zoom out in a second. You made a high here, right? You broke this, remember? Boom. You made a high. From that level, what did you do? Well, you came down in a zigzag. You came down even more. You hit this support of, this 25-day resistance that you were out, retested that. You popped up in a flat correction. You came down and back up. So you're essentially creating an M-top, or a ceiling. You're creating a double top. If you look at it, let's zoom out for a second on the 4-hourly, just to look at it on a higher, from a higher vantage. But look at what we're looking at here. Forget Elliott wave, forget counting these different corrective waves. Just look at the price action. Look at these spinning tops. I think they're called dojis. You have 4 of them on the 4-hourly time frame. That is very telling. That's very telling that this particular trend is more likely than not exhausted at this level. If that's the case, then you're coming down. And if you're coming down, remember, you touched base here. Remember, 25 days of support. You touched, or it was 25 days of resistance. You touched base as support. You're eventually breaking that. If you eventually do break that, that is more likely than not happening sooner than not. As soon as you lose this right here, it's likely to happen sooner than not, because this 25-day support level isn't that strong. It was 25 days, yes, but price, or the indicator, the Bitcoin dominance indicator, doesn't want to stay here. Why is this important for those of you who may not know, rather? Bitcoin dominance, when it goes down, that's an indication of altcoins beating Bitcoin in terms of market cap gains. That only happens when altcoins are running and Bitcoin's kind of stagnant or running a lot less. So if that's to happen this weekend, then this is more likely than not breaking down, as we can see on the hourly time frame is already starting. Okay, so there's something there. There's a likelihood that this may very well take place this weekend. And when you're talking about front runners, you're talking about Bitcoin dominance exhibiting this kind of behavior, it has to be in the high market cap assets, right? Because if it wasn't, then Bitcoin dominance wouldn't be reflecting this, right? Because Bitcoin dominance is showing market cap versus market cap, altcoin market cap versus Bitcoin market cap. And the only way you can see an effect there is when the big market cap altcoins are actually going against Bitcoin and making gains against Bitcoin. So the Cardanos, the Chainlinks of the world, the Litecoins of the world, maybe they give us something this weekend. So as promised, let's look at two examples before we close out the video. Okay, and really this is interesting and this is different. This is something that we haven't seen in a while because this is a decoupling. Regardless of what Bitcoin's doing, giving us a modest push to the upside, altcoins may be giving us so much more. We're not used to that. That doesn't make sense. That is anathema to what we've seen for, I don't know, the past 1,000+ days, right? So again, Cardano, high time frame, you're looking at something that is very close to giving you a reversal. How do we know that? You come down, you have a strong hammer candle with a strong wick showing buyers stepped in at this important level of support, right? I'm not going to show you my whole chart, but basically this is an important level of diagonal support as well. It's very important that price found support here. And it didn't just find support, it immediately found support. So you bounce off, you get a zigzag, right? 5 waves up, 3 waves down. You bounce up on again, and you do another zigzag, showing extreme strength. So 2 zigzags in a row, and a flat correction. I've seen this before, and I've talked about this before on the channel. I've seen reversals take place, many reversals take place on many different time frames, and they typically take the form of a zigzag, and a flat. So here, if you can't see it, let's jump down in the hourly time frame. You can see it's a satisfied reversal insofar as I count 1 zigzag, 2 zigzags, and a zigzag technically is a 5 waves up, 3 waves down, respecting the 618. So the retracement cannot be beyond 62% of the preceding wave up. So I can already eyeball it. I'm not going to waste time and pull out my fibs, but that's 5 waves up, 3 waves down. You can see the 3 waves, 1, 2, 3 right here. 5 waves up, again, 3 waves down, 1, 2, 3. So that's 2 zigzags in a row, and you follow it up with a nice flat correction. You should be done. And like I said in the previous video, it was likely that we came down to these levels because on the smaller time frame, you have an inverse head and shoulders bullish reversal pattern, breaking out, retesting, consolidating. You're done. When I'm looking at the Cardanos of the world, a high market cap altcoin, a blue chip altcoin, I'm looking at that price action. There's nothing else to do. This reversal is complete. When I'm then corroborating this with what I'm seeing in the Bitcoin dominance, with what I'm seeing in the total 3, that's what leads me to say we may see fireworks. We're going to have fireworks in my community tomorrow, right? It's never really, different communities in the States typically schedule their fireworks to avoid rain or to, because it's more convenient to have it on a weekend rather than a weekday. So tomorrow we're going to have fireworks in my community. We may have fireworks in the crypto market this weekend based off of what I'm seeing in the charts. Again, inverse head and shoulders, breakout, retest, consolidation. it's good night, Irene. The next move is and should be a strong, impulsive move to this next logical resistance, and then a retracement, and then a continuation. What we want to see to confirm this trade thesis is strong move, not a dilly dally, not a little not a bearish, or sorry, not a corrective retracement up, not an up and to the right move here. We want to see a strong impulsive move. It's quick, it's decisive, it's in a candle or two on the intraday time frame, so either on the hourly or on the 4-hourly, and then a retracement that takes about the same time as it took to go up, and then continuation. If we see a retracement that holds 50 to 61.8% or 62% of the previous move up at resistance, and that retracement holds, and then a continuation, we're in. That is alt season officially. And like I said in the beginning of the video, don't be surprised if some altcoins enter alt season a few days, a few hours before others. But I expect the big blue chips to really show strength in the beginning. So Cardano's definitely one of those that I'm looking very closely at to start these trends, these alt season trends. Now, to end the video, let's look at Link as promised, Chainlink. So this is a little different, and I like why, this is one of the reasons I chose Chainlink. Look at this. So, like Cardano, you come down, you grab liquidity very strongly, and you put in a strong hammer candle, buyer step in. Your first move is a zigzag, 5 waves up, 3 waves down. There's no time component, i.e. the move up and the move down aren't really related in terms of time. There's no like one-to-one time component, so that's not pure impulse. We know that. So we that's off the table. So that is nice because it breaks that short, small time frame downtrend, right? So that happened. That's your first corrective wave. And then you come up and you kind of hang out here at this resistance, the bottom of this high time frame channel, which was support and is now resistance. So for Chainlink, although it's a high time, or it's a blue chip, it's one of those large market cap altcoins, I'm not seeing evidence of it being done, i.e. going into its bull market just yet. I'm not seeing it going into alt season just yet because I want a 0.5 to 618 Fibonacci retracement on this move, and then a subsequent pivot before that. Do you see? Big difference between what we just saw in Cardano and what we saw in Chainlink right here. Both of them are altcoins. Both of them are high market cap altcoins. But I don't think Chainlink is going to give us the kind of action that Cardano is going to give us this weekend, because I don't see the requisite corrective sequences to say Chainlink is finished consolidating. I want something like this in Chainlink before I'm ready to say that is the start of alt season for Chainlink. I hope that's not too in the weeds, but I think it's important to make the discrepancy, because when I say that we may see some fireworks in altcoins this weekend, I want to be careful and discriminate between certain altcoins that are ready and that have put in their corrective patterns, and others that may not have yet done so. So for Chainlink in the immediate short term, I do expect the move up, but then I expect a subsequent move down, much like Bitcoin, right? So that's all I have for you. Hope that was helpful. Hope that was useful. Like, share, and subscribe if you got value. Consider tipping me by Litecoin, Cash App, Venmo, all at the pinned comment below. And consider my crypto portfolio mentorship and consultation service, where I help you choose altcoins that are likely to yield sustained gains in this coming bull market. And I help you identify logical levels of support and resistance to maximize your portfolio during the course of the bull run. All right, guys, that's it for me. Take care. Bye.
My prevalent time slot, I vocalize, too deep to localize, even when I'm right on the surface. You act surprised how I work this, but I can't lie. Many a good alibi, I'll catch you later. Visions are vividly enhanced with emphasis and amethyst to develop morale advantages which help us manifest. Magnanimous, we body vitals like evangelists. So listen when you're dealing with people who be revealing premonitions with precision. At least that's what I'm aiming at for now. I speak the language of the world, meandering throughout the crowd. Used to feel safe to say anything, but now it's a risk. It's hard for me to let go when all I can do is reminisce. Gone like the wind, here's where I begin. Should I